y'all better run like it's the Croydon FC, the round table where the real heads be. Talking NFL, the game we adore, but from the touchdowns to the legends, it's so much more. That fucking guy, he's got the stats on lock, dropping knowledge on the field, watching every block. Back and bleeding green, cheering loud and proud. In the sea of cheese, heads he's standing out the crowd. I can't hear Andy with the looks and the smarts, breaking down the plays, and he does it with heart. Then the stout, solid like the line. His takes are heavy, his vision's divine. Week by week, we break the game down. From every big play to every new crown. Offense, defense, we cover it all. From the springtime drafts to the winner's last call. It's not just a podcast, it's a fan's lifeline. Connecting every moment from the vines to the side.
Good morning, gentlemen. Week 7 is upon us. The trade deadline is approaching. How are we doing today? I mean, it's pretty gloomy up here in the region, in the Chicagoland area, whatever you want to call it. It's raining, so that should have some big effect on today's games. I don't know if you watched the college football games this weekend, but most of those games were a mess. So hopefully we can have some good muddy football today. But anyway, gentlemen, how we doing?
Wonderful.
You guys always love it. Love the energy. I think Brian fell asleep smoking the brisket or something. I don't know what's going on.
He was smoking something. So as far as like weather is concerned, I know it's actually pretty rough around here. It's probably right around the 82, 83 degree mark. Right now we have very little to no humidity, so it is terrible. It
You got
is
about
terrible.
7 inches of sunshine?
At least. The good thing is my alma mater actually won. They beat up on West Virginia, whereas I think the rest of you guys' teams, which of course inherently are terrible, lost.
No, my team won, but yeah,
Mike won.
that's right.
I mean, my team's winning because maybe we'll get rid of Norvell. I thought that he was actually the answer, but it turns out he was just living off a great quarterback play and a damn good, well-built defense. But
Yeah, how'd that work out with Stanford? And as far as like Michigan is concerned, right now, in and of itself, because they're in Ann Arbor, they're losers.
Did USF win, Andy? Do you know? I didn't get to see that one.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't follow high school football.
They're top 10, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
But anyway,
Again, I'm not really sure why they have high school football that's like that, but whatever, it's cool.
so weather being a factor today in Chicago, you guys come into the game fairly healthy-ish. Not too many terrible injuries, but one that I think you need to really watch is this whole DeAndre Swift with a groin injury playing on a sloppy surface up in Soldier Field. How's it look in Chicago for you, Andy?
Well, DeAndre Swift has a pulled hamstring, and he has to worry about that with the weather in Chicago.
Yeah, has a pulled groin, yes, sir. But
No, but you have there's a couple of injuries now. Austin Booker, he's unfortunately out, of course. DeAndre Swift, of course, the list is questionable with his groin. And the Bears, you're right, they're fairly healthy in and of itself. You have a few key players that, of course, that are. But in consideration of their winning streak and their absolute and utter dominance of the last couple of teams, we can talk about that in just a few moments if you like.
But anyway, so you got Caleb Williams going against his former teammate, I don't know, he sat behind him for a couple of minutes, then he ended up taking over the job in Oklahoma. Does Caleb have a chip on his shoulder, or do you think this even matters in this game? Does put any added pressure on the game?
I don't necessarily think so for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's versus the Saints team, of course, that is in the South, and they've had their struggles in the South, which is kind of unfortunate and interesting because the South, is not quite on par as regular teams.
You keep saying that, but I'm pretty sure both the Bucs and Falcons look pretty serious this year.
Coming from a South guy, now that's like it's like a multiple state high school winner. they're a good team on paper. They're a good team on the field, but when the chips are down and stuff like that, you come to realize, you know what? Not so much.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's like Washington and how easy a victory that was, Sean. No, but seriously though, it could actually end up being a little bit tougher of a game, only because of the fact that New Orleans in and of itself does not necessarily have a great deal to play for, especially with from a North team. So that's what makes it kind of dangerous. The Bears can in fact and should in fact probably score a decent amount against them, and probably you're looking at well over a touchdown victory, probably somewhere in the 10 to 12 point spread is what I'm hoping for. It might be a little bit closer, but with Caleb Williams, of course, having relative success against some of the I don't want to say lesser teams, but some of the teams that that he could or should be playing, the secondary of the Saints is they're susceptible. Let's just say they're susceptible to medium and even some of the longer distance type of throws. So, if DeAndre Swift can go, fantastic. If not, the Bears do in fact have a couple of running backs that can actually take up. As long as the Bears can actually protect Caleb like they did last week, as well as get a little bit of a running game going, I'm thinking probably somewhere again within the 100 or so, 115 or so yards rushing. I think the Bears could hopefully pull out a victory, a fair victory. Probably somewhere in the 9 to 12 point.
Well,
victory.
I mean, you guys are hot right now. You're riding a 3-game winning streak. Saints did get a win this season so far, so it looks like they're just headed in different directions. The Saints waited so long to rebuild. The Bears have been rebuilding for almost 6 years now. They've admittedly been rebuilding for about 6 years now. Two teams, different paths. Can the Bears withstand this success going forward? Can they keep building on that success? Your schedule doesn't look too hard. I mean, you got a good couple games coming up, but you should be able to gain some momentum and get some success going forward.
Absolutely. So the Bears, of course, have a couple of things going. Number one, Jake Moody, of course, he's going to be playing again this week. Cairo Santo, of course, is a little bit jazzed up. Let's see. They activated running back Travis Homer from the reserve injured list. So if by chance, DeAndre Swift cannot play, or at least is playing sparingly, Travis Homer, of course, with the offensive line, he might be able to get that 100+ yards that the Bears are probably going to end up needing. In order to be able to actually defeat, of course, New Orleans Saints. Now, really kind of what makes this interesting, and again, it's one of those things. It's like a sleeper kind of game, and I think we were just touching on it real quick earlier. Is the fact that the Bears should come in, beat them by 1,000 points, that kind of a thing, and that's where things get a little bit dangerous, because if one or two things don't necessarily go their way, next thing you know, there's turnovers. Next thing you know, there's 3 and outs. Next thing you know, there's special teams faux pas, things like that are going to end up causing the Bears to end up coming up short at the end. And so that's why I think they have to really kind of sort of, against complacency, they have to make sure that they maintain. So if you come in and you're supposed to beat a team by 10 points, you should beat that team by 10 points. Don't look ahead to the next game. You have to look ahead and like I said, this is like one of those sleeper games.
Yeah, I'm not sure Bears are in a position to look ahead of anybody. Granted, like I said, you're on a tear. You guys finally got an offense that's clicking. Your defense seems to be playing somewhat complementary football and being somewhat opportunistic, but you haven't really had that success to build upon, to grow, to get arrogant or cocky, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the Saints playing in the sloppy conditions, I mean, it's going to be bad on that field. You really don't have a ground game to speak of. You're going to put everything on Spencer Rattler with a wet ball. I don't know. I honestly think it's the Bears' game to lose. But like you said, they need to control the clock. They need to have a good, somewhat decent ground game and play some complementary football through the pass.
Go ahead. Oh, I'm just saying. I think Cole Kmet and Loveland, I think, are going to be two of the ones who are probably going to be instrumental for both blocking for your running game. You're going to have that intermediate pass, and I think that's going to help the Bears to actually move the chains to where they can eventually get a Rome Odunze or a DJ Moore or, even as Zacharias and, those type of plays. So as long as the Bears can actually control the ball, this, of course, is of any game, any team, but if they can control the ball, especially like the way they're supposed to, make sure that you actually have defensive stops, 3 and out for, of course, for the Saints. You get that, depending on how bad the weather is at the start of the game, you might be able to get yourself in this little running game where you're going to have, 100 or so yards throughout the course of the game. You might even be able to have at least 50 to 60 yards in the first quarter, first half, that kind of thing. That's going to actually open up a few other things that the Bears can actually capitalize on to be able to kind of go a little bit deeper in their repertoire, so to speak, to where Pokemed, Loveland, Moore, all the receivers are going to be able to actually do some good things for the Bears, and they pull out with at least a 9-point victory.
Okay, my question for you, devil's advocate here. How do the Saints win?
So that's where it gets interesting also, because with the Bears defense they're on the cusp of being really good. So you have a few Stevenson, for example, and a few of the other, secondary. You actually have, how would you say this? So it's kind of like one of those things where they're just like I said, they're on the cusp, but every now and again you find them kind of not necessarily in the right spot, and they actually allow a 10, 12, 15-yard completion. So if by chance, again, you remove that complacency, you make sure that they're going to be at least in the very the area that they're supposed to be in, you're going to be able to reduce the possibility of actually intermediate, maybe even longer passes, which of course is going to open up their running game, the Saints running game. Now, the Bears front four has not necessarily been able to get a whole lot of pressure on the quarterbacks this year. Montez Sweat, of course, and I think he's been trying, and he's actually been doing some other things, which is fantastic. Blocking the ball, making sure that the quarterback is honest in any sort of like a RPO, whatever the case might be. But if by chance the Bears can establish that defensive line, removing the passing game, you actually are leaving open any sort of intermediate and longer passes. The secondary does their job. I don't see the Saints being able to win this. Conversely, if the Bears cannot do any of that, it's going to be a long night for the Bears.
Yeah. So my big thing with watching the Saints, unfortunately, I had to watch the Saints a couple times this year. They need to accept that kicking isn't a bad way to end a series. Punting isn't a bad thing. Kicking field goals isn't a bad thing. Kicking extra points is a great thing. It seems like Spencer Rattler tries to do too much with very little. He extends plays, he's scrambling, he's mobile, and he doesn't know when to just A, take the sack, or B, throw it away. And I'm getting that's their death note. That's their nail in the coffin is Spencer Rattler's play. If he can play within his means, not try to be the hero, accept defeat at times to get the victory in the end.
And I think we had talked about this a few weeks ago when college players, especially if they've had some sort of, and I think you were talking about this with Baker Mayfield, but when they're just new into the league, they try to do a little bit too much, and we were talking about that. So instead of actually, grounding the ball or throwing it out of bounds, whatever the case might be, you're running, you're juking, you're doing your thing, and you're trying to get it downfield. The problem is, as professionals who have honed their craft, and if you're actually a starter and you've made a Pro Bowl, you're not going to fall for any sort of nonsense like that. And so sometimes you're outside the tackle box, throw it away.
Yeah.
Don't take the sack. That's gross, but
sometimes it's okay to take the sack.
Even grosser.
Stop, Andy. Seriously, if the option is taking the sack and punting the ball or turning the ball over right there, you take the sack and punt the ball.
That's even grosser. But the thing is, as a professional, you give what the defense allows you.
The defense gives you 100%.
And if you have a middle that's open, How do you think the Colts ended up beating the Bears in 2006 in the Super Bowl? That short little intermediate pass, unfortunately, the Bears were not necessarily covering. You get all these yards, you get all these touchdowns.
Yeah.
Lincoln Colts.
And on this episode of Bear Down, Andy's going to stop talking.
No,
all right.
No. We certainly won't do that.
So
but
next,
if you want to go for the rest of the NFC North real quick, we can actually kind of sort of go through that because it's almost completely useless. There's only one team in the NFC North. Let's see. The Packers, of course, are 3-1-1. Everybody, of course, knows that wonderful tie. I don't remember what team that they tied. Another subpar team, I believe. They're starting to. It's one of those things where the Packers are actually starting, and granted, they have a few injuries as well that they're dealing with. Their offensive line is kind of coming together-ish. So you're starting to kind of sort of get that thing, that unfortunate, that Packer thing, to where they're not going to be an elite team as of yet, but they're going to be. They're good enough that they're going to be able to spoil some other teams' plans if you get far enough into the season. But by then, the Packers, of course, are hopefully going to have their all their injured players back. I think they have one or two offensive linemen that are banged up and things like that. So if you can actually get that kind of going, they very well may actually come in a strong second place with the Bears. Matthew Golden, wide receiver, of course, he's making an impact. Currently, he leads the team in receptions. The Packers are clearly. I don't want to say they're in the hunt for the division, but of course the division being, kind of a difficult one. I think it's still kind of Detroit's to basically lose. The way that the Bears are playing, if they can continue, you very well may have a close to a 10 victory season for the Bears. So,
well, you're looking at a 3-team race. You really are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Really, it's almost like a 4-team race because it depends on what kind of team you're going to get to with Minnesota. We'll talk about that in just a few moments. So, with the Lions being 4-2 going into Week 7, they're starting to kind of sort of congeal again as a team, tragically, because I know the Bears still have to play them, a time or two. When their offense is starting to kind of click, their defense gets a little bit of a swagger, and then they can kind of sort of, tee off on certain teams and stuff like that, which, of course, but if it's a high-scoring game, they have a more than average availability to pull out that victory. When it's a low-scoring game, they're probably going to end up winning, 7 times out of 10, that kind of thing. So Detroit, of course, has their injuries, but they're
Green Bay.
Yeah.
Green Bay.
No.
You're in
Detroit.
Green Bay, not Detroit.
We're doing Green Bay.
Detroit. No, we're doing Detroit. Now we're doing Minnesota.
No, we're not. If you were on the show earlier, I laid it all out like we were going to do it, but you didn't come on in time.
But anyway, so seriously, Green Bay.
What about
Carolina?
Green Bay? Who cares?
Green Bay Cardinals.
No, we're done.
We don't like talking about Green Bay.
No, we're done.
With Christian Watson being out and Josh Jacobs being questionable, I still think that Green Bay wins this game. I was hoping Brian would be on because I want to know what they're going to do with Watson. Like, has he played more than 2 games a season? He's always hurt. He's worse than Mike Evans with a hamstring. He is always hurt. What?
How was his overall yak?
What? And when he plays, it's exceptional. But he doesn't play.
But yet his dad went out and made a comment that there's no true number 1 in Green Bay, and that's why they'll never win. Your kid could be number 1 if he didn't get hurt.
Well, the interesting part is you don't necessarily need a number 1 in Green Bay to win, because for some reason they've always had that weird knack of being able to, find what you need when you need it to always pull out a victory.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but
Mike, go ahead. I'm sorry, Andy. What?
I just can say hopefully the Bears have their number this year as well. But with Love actually having a fair year, I think if the injuries on the Green Bay offensive line, if by chance Jordan Love gets smacked around a little bit, I think that's going to be a bit of an issue for him because I think he's kind of dealing with a couple of aches and pains as well. So,
yeah. So the Vikings the Philly hosts go into Minnesota and take on the Vikings.
Yes.
Mike.
Yep.
How healthy is Philadelphia right now?
I mean, not really. I mean, they have some key players that are still questionable right now. Jalen Carter is questionable with a heel injury. And then you got guard Dickerson is injured with an ankle. He's questionable. And right now, everybody else that's been on IR for a while has been on IR. So they're dealing with they're banged up a little bit. They're dealing with that going into playing at Minnesota. So it's going to be a interesting game to say the least, with the way Minnesota is kind of like they're here, they're not. And
Eagles, how healthy is Minnesota? I mean, Andy, is Minnesota finally at full strength, or?
Well, not necessarily. You've got they just actually reactivated, of course, Blake Cashman from injured reserve from a hamstring injury. They've also activated rookie outside linebacker Tyler Batty. So they're starting to get some of their name. Well, I don't want to say name players, but some players back on defense, which is going to be a bit of an issue for opposing offense, of course. I don't know about against the Eagles. The Eagles have that push, and if you want to make sure that you've got a player who's just back from injury, you want to keep him probably out of that situation.
Yeah, Minnesota has top 10 defense in the league right now. Mm-hmm. If they get some offensive firepower to even make the Eagles play offense, which they haven't been doing very well since they beat the Bucs. I mean, what's the formula here for Philadelphia? How do they come out of this with a win? Minnesota's 9-2 since last season at home. They're a good home team. They've got a good defense. That place will be loud. How does Philly come out with this?
The way Philly's they're gonna have to run the ball. I know Minnesota's got a top tier defense. They're gonna have to run the ball with Barkley. And I think the receivers for Philadelphia going deep is not going to help them like they usually try to do. I think they're going to have to do some intermediate routes to beat Minnesota. But I think this is going to be a really good football game between the two. And I think it's going to be, as much as I want to say slugfest, but I think it will be a slugfest between the two defenses of seeing what they got. Because one, the run game for Minnesota since Aaron Jones went out has kind of faltered off a little bit. And then I just think that they're always going to give it to Jefferson. So if Philly can keep him under control, I think Philly end up coming out with this game if they keep Jefferson under control. But this game, I didn't pick this game at all because this one seems one that's going to be a slugfest between the two teams.
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think special teams are going to play a huge factor in this game. Field position is always important, but I think it's going to be a factor in this game because neither offense is really overwhelming right now. I think we're going to have a defensive struggle.
So if by chance you can, because you have a couple of defensive players that are back from Minnesota, so if you have that opportunity to be able to actually shore up that defense, stop that run, or at least curtail that run dramatically, do you necessarily see Jalen being able to throw the ball, run the ball in order to be able to put them in a? Did you know that the NFL is not going to necessarily allow the Eagles to lose 2 in a row?
Well, again, if Jalen starts, I mean, he's shown that he can take off running if he needs to, and I think that'll be a thing for Minnesota's defense to see if they can actually stop him from scrambling and taking off and getting down like he needs to. So that'll be a bigger issue, but he hasn't been running that much.
Mike froze.
He hasn't. Oh yeah.
You cut out on me. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I was just saying Jalen hasn't taken off running as much after the first game with Dallas. as much as he did in that game. So I think they got him kind of somewhat contained where he needs to do. But if they could contain him and not get him running, I think Minnesota ends up, and they can stop Barkley. I think they'll pull this game out. So Minnesota will.
Yeah. Minnesota's favored. So
yes.
Who do you have the quarterback from Minnesota?
I don't know. After J.J. McCarthy went down, I don't know.
yeah, I'm
Who
not.
is it?
Well, that's my point, because JJ unfortunately is not playing again this week. So that your offense is going to be spotty at best. So you're going to have to rely pretty much, I think, on your running game as well, which is going to be a bit of an issue because Philadelphia's defense is a little bit of a swarming type of defense, and you have a defensive line that can actually take one or two offensive linemen per player. So you're always going to have at least one, maybe two people that are going to be roaming around. So
Yeah, I really see this game as a defensive battle, but I've been wrong before.
Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is the quarterback.
Yeah. So we do have the NFC Championship preview, but we can cover that later in the show if you don't mind, Andy. We'll get into Bucs Lions later, and we'll let Mike go with NFC East if he's ready.
No, I'm ready.
You did
So
homework.
next,
Great.
yeah,
Mike's going to take part in the show.
yeah, a little bit. I did all my research this week for another show. So
Yeah, I know.
Well, next up we got the Giants versus the Broncos. I don't know. The Giants are looking
like a team.
Yeah, like what's going on? Right now with injuries, their linebacker Carter's got a hamstring injury. I'm not even gonna. Their other linebacker, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce. I'll mess that up. He's got a pec issue. He's questionable. Golston is out, and Slayton is out again with a hamstring injury for the Giants. And if Scatterboo keeps doing what he's doing, he'll eventually be out with a concussion. But Denver, looking at their injury report, linebacker Ellis is out with a shoulder injury. Another linebacker, Wallow, that they picked up in free agency, he's on IR with the hamstring, which is, I think this is his second week now. And then they still have their guard Powers is still on IR with a bicep. I think the biggest thing for this game is Greenlaw, if he ends up playing or not. For Denver.
Looking at New York, this game, it was my upset special for the week. We'll get into that later, but they just have a different energy right now. They're the same team. They're not built well right now. They have this energy with Jackson Dart and Scatterboo that's just contagious throughout the team.
Yeah.
How long can you live on that? Are we looking at the Vinsanity from the New York Knicks, or Linsanity when they had that guard that was playing real well for a couple weeks and everyone was all up in arms, and then now it's over? Are we looking at the same thing in New York with the Giants? They've got a quick jolt of energy that's going to propel them for a couple games, and then they're back to being the Giants, or is this something that's sustainable?
I don't know if it's sustainable because, one, you need that energy, plus you need coaching. And I don't think the Giants have the head coach that they need for that team. I thought he'd be a good coach there, and I was kind of worried when they did hire him. But it just seems like this constant mistakes every week, in and out, with him. With them going to Denver and Denver being at home, as much as that energy is, it's going to be that stadium could get going with the way the Broncos are playing right now. And and the Broncos got a top 10 defense. So the Giants are going up against, I think this might be their first this year against a top 10 defense. So I think they're going to hit a little wall this week of that energy getting toned down just a little bit. But I think you'll see some plays from both Dart and Scatterboo. But other than that, I do really think that Denver pulls this one out because they're at home. I think we'll kind of see a regression in New York a little bit, but I just see them playing hard, and that's what you haven't seen out of the Giants players in a while is them playing hard all the time. And I think that's the energy that those two bring that no matter what. And I think with them being rookies, not really known any better and being in the positions they are, it's kind of lifted up the rest of the players because of where they've been at with the coaches and everything else. So, I mean, I just don't see them getting out of this game with a win in Denver, but I think they'll get taken down a notch. But I don't know if those two will. It'll be interesting to see if they ended up losing this game and what they come out like next week, if they have the same energy they've been having. So
well, let me ask you a quick question. So, what if it goes down with an injury? What do you see the teams? What do you think the team is going to do?
what, New York? If they go down with like who? Like
if Scatterable or Dart, either one of them goes down with an injury, what do you see the team fold, or you see them kind of rally around and continue on?
Well, that's the thing. We've seen the injuries there before with that head coach, and it did. They keep on saying we're going to rally around. The team's going to have to step up, and they never do. So I don't know if it's a coaching thing, what's going on, or if these guys are just letting these rookies just be themselves. And now they've kind of turned into leaders of the team. So I think if one of them goes down, the energy goes down with it. I think
that's what Andy's getting at is the fact you brought up the coaching situation and that one injury to either one of these two is going to plummet this team back to being
I don't know if it'll plummet, but I don't think they'll have the same energy. I think they'll keep the same energy up because that's the way those two are built, kind of. But I don't see having both of them kind of lifts up everybody.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's not coaching that's doing that. It's the youth that they've brought in, and unfortunately, I think New York's gonna be looking for a new coach here very soon. But
yeah, I don't think unless they make the playoffs, or which they're not, or even have a 500 record. If it's below 500, I think he's gone at the end of the season. Yeah. I think if he gets them at 500 with the two they got, they're going to give him another year to see what he could do with them having a year under their belt, is what I think will happen. So,
right on. Andy, you got anything else to add on this game, or can we go on to playing Cowboys and Indians? We can't say that anymore, can we?
Cowboys and Commanders. Let's do it.
We can't say the R word, but we could say Indians. It's fine. So yeah, this game is going to be Dallas and Washington. It's going to be a hard-fought game. With news breaking this the past couple days between Dallas and the Commanders. One with Dallas, Trayvon Diggs falling in the shower or whatever.
Come on, dude. It's something else.
Something's going on. I think his heart's still broken from when Micah got traded. To be honest with you, I mean, I've kind of talked to Sean about this a little bit, but I do. I think he's still. Him and Blaine are still recovering from their injuries. They're not 100%. So I really think that has a lot to do with it. But I also think he's the certain coach that we have coaching the defense is still not doing what he's supposed to be doing, and with the players that we have. But for the injury report for Dallas, everybody right now is pretty healthy besides Diggs. There's nobody on the injury report. Deon Nealon's still out. He's one of our guys that rotate in. He's still out. And one of our backup corners, Carson, he is questionable with the knee, which kind of puts us in a hole with Diggs not being available. Getting rid of Jordan Lewis during the offseason doesn't seem like a good idea now, especially the way he's tearing it up in Jacksonville. But with that said, Washington, two big keys that came out for their injury report is Deebo Samuel is out with a heel injury, And from all reports from I'm seeing, Scary Terry is not playing again. So, and Zach Ertz is questionable with the shoulder, but looks like he's going to be able to go. And again, their guard Cosme, or whatever, how you pronounce that, is questionable with the knee ACL injury. I think he's a game time decision. So with this game, again, we are playing at home, which is not home field advantage. I think the Cowboys win this game if like I've discussed previously on our buddy Sean Spencer show. If the offense keeps doing what they're doing, we will be fine. The defense needs to step up and have at least give me 2-3 stops. We're not playing, backyard football. Because again, what year is it? Because it reminds me of the Tony Romo era. We had a great offense and no defense, and you can only sustain that for so long. So
you had a solid defense. You really did. And I know you don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but I do. So Micah Parsons, how big a difference does he make? Now I'm being serious. How big a difference does he make for this game if he were to still be in Dallas? You're going against one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the league that has just returned from an injury. How big an impact would Micah Parsons have if he were still in Dallas?
He would make a big impact, but it also depends where the defensive coordinator puts him. Again, I've had this discussion plenty of times. He'd be getting double teamed regardless of what happened. But what Green Bay is doing is moving him around and disrupting the offense before they even snap the ball. We didn't do that. This defensive coordinator wouldn't do that. He'd leave him right there. Again, James Houston has 4.5 sacks right now, which is more than Micah Parsons. But the issue is, again, we have 2 outside linebackers that our starting outside linebackers are gone. We're playing with those. Now we got a bright shining star out of Shamir James, our middle linebacker we picked up in the 5th round. He's showing that he can be all over the field and go in the right places, which kind of with me is what are they going to do with Sanborn, because he was looking good for a while, and then I don't know if it was because he was hurt, he was just in the wrong place, wrong time, but this kid's flying all over the field. Our corners play bump and run. That's what they do. We don't have the safeties to keep the play cover 2 and then keep up with receivers that are just taking off from the start, especially with them both being injured still. I know they say they're healthy, but they're coming off big injuries, which it takes a while to recover from, which an example is Javonte Williams, of how that works out for you when you have, an extra half a year or whatever. I think Michael would, and as much as I kind of, at this point, I'm kind of glad he's gone and I'm kind of done talking about it, because at this point we got to move forward. We need to figure it out with the defense of what we have. James Houston is doing good. Clowney's getting pressures in there just coming in now. I don't think he's the player that he, was for a little while, but we're getting the pressure. But again, that's my worry. And that was the key. One of my keys was we have to stop Jayden Daniels, because he is going to take off running this game. He is he doesn't have anybody to throw to. Again,
well, that was kind of my point.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I was getting to it. Like, he's going to run. I mean, their running game, if they could get their running game going that they have, which they probably can against Dallas, he don't have to run as much as I don't think they have to. And I think it's going to go back to Washington's going to go try back to old school, running the ball, taking care of the ball, run down the clock, and then we're going to have to play, catch up with our run game and that. But again, I do think Dallas pulls this out with our star kicker, and we end up winning by 3. I think this could be a high-scoring game for us.
Right on.
For both teams. I think it'll end up being 38-35 with Dallas coming out with the victory with the field goal.
I mean, you're not Brian, but you're saying take the over then, huh?
Yeah, I am.
So Andy, you got anything you want to add about this game, or are we able to head south?
Well, I mean, the only thing I'd really have to say is because I know we actually, it was just they're easy victories for the Bears. So
Anyway, all right.
Hey, just a heads up: the Rams are up 21-0.
21-0 against the Jaguars. You believe that?
Wow.
4 minutes ago in the second over there in London.
Wow. That's shocking to me. But
yeah, that's like the Cowboys, of course, in any team they play, they're always down by 21 points because of defense.
So we've covered most of the games already. We have a couple here in the actually before we go south, let's go. Nah, we're just gonna go south. We got 49ers Falcons. Okay. The Niners played well the first half of the Bucs game. They played very well. It was a close game. Fred Warner's injury kind of changed the whole dynamic of that game. It changed the whole emotion of that game. It changed the momentum. After Warner went out, the middle of the field was open. The Bucs were able to capitalize on that. They were able to hit a few passes over the middle, pull those safeties up, and it allowed those big plays. You had that big pass to Johnson. You had another big pass to Johnson. I mean, what the Bucs did with their 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th wide receiver was all based on that one injury. Warner's out this week. He's probably out the rest of the season. Might be out the rest of the season and start of next season. But what's even more disturbing is Persal's still out. Purdy's still out. Their offense isn't going to be in high gear, I don't think, in this game. The Falcons, on the other hand, look great on defense. Falcons are a top 3 defense. Shockingly, they're a top 3 offense. They're just not putting the points up. They head to San Francisco. That's a long, long road trip from Atlanta. How does Atlanta win this game? I think it's pretty simple. You give the ball to Bijan and let him do the work. Don't put too much pressure on Michael Penix. Don't make Michael Penix win this game. Control the clock, control the ball. Let Bijan do what Bijan does. I'm not going to say he's the best running back in the South, but he's probably, even as a Bucs fan, the best running back in the South. He's quite possibly the best running back in the league this year. What he's been able to do on the ground and through the air has propelled that offense. I don't want to say I think the Falcons win, but I think the Falcons win. Where do you guys sit with this?
I think the Falcons win. I think with all the injuries the Niners have, I don't think they have enough depth. I mean, they're being competitive right now, but with everybody being injured, I don't know. I know they're sitting at 4-2 with all the injuries. But like you said, that Fred Warner injury last week, I think kind of put the nail in their coffin for the rest of the season. I think Atlanta wins this, and I think you're right. I think if they run the ball with Bijan Robinson, I think they win this game because clearly CMC, him just running the ball is not working either.
Their offense is pretty much get the ball to Christian and see what he can do.
And even with Kittle, Kittle's supposed to come back. I was hearing things, but I don't know if it's actually this week he comes back or next week from that hamstring.
He's not
injury.
on the injury list,
So I mean that might help him a little bit, but again, with the Falcons defense being as well as they are, I just think they pull out the victory here.
Right on. We've covered Saints Bears. Andy thinks the Bears win by 100. Panthers Jets is on the docket next. Wilson's doubtful for the Jets, like they need anything else to go wrong. The Panthers looking like they're gaining some momentum, but I don't think they're the juggernaut by any means. They're favored by 1.5 this game.
Yeah.
This might be a game where the Jets pull it out. I low expectations going into this game for New York. Kind of maybe lets them play easy, lets them just play ball. Panthers only have one person listed on the injury report as out, which is their outside linebacker. No one out for the Jets, but you have 3 that are doubtful. So I don't know. I don't know how they win. I don't think it's going to be a masterpiece. I think Justin Fields might escape with touchdown pass and a touchdown on the ground. They win something like 17-10. That's just my take on that game. I don't see anyone really clamoring for this game other than Panther or Jets fans. So I'll leave it at that. You guys have any different take on this game, or?
I think the Panthers, if they run off the win they got last week, I think the Panthers win this game. So, but they're also playing at the crappiest stadium in the NFL, so hopefully nobody else gets hurt.
We'll see. I mean, we've already covered this last show. NFL's got to do something soon. They've got to either make them change to a new surface, change to where the teams can't play on the same field. Something's got to be done.
Yeah.
But
I just think it's going to be one of those games where it's going to be similar like the Packers and the Cowboys. Going to end up in a tie.
I'd be okay with a tie. I'm not even going to lie.
I think they'd be okay with a tie.
All right. Well, it's finally here. The game we're all waiting for. Monday Night Football. The injured Tampa Bay Buccaneers squaring off against the injured Detroit Lions.
You notice how he started that off? By making excuses for his team right off the bat.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think this is one of those games where whoever loses this game is going to say it's because we didn't have Bucky Irvin. We didn't have Luke Gedeke. Or it's going to be, it's because we didn't have any of our starting corners or our starting safeties. This is an excuse built-in game. The problem with an excuse built-in game is one team's going to buy into the excuses and the other team's going to thrive without them. Question is whose team has the maturity to do so?
Probably Detroit.
And you very well could be right. Detroit at home is a hard team to beat. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a tough receiver to defend. He's not the glitz and glamour of the long ball. He's not the, I'm going to burn you deep. He's not going to trick you with some double move. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a quick hit, almost like Michael Thomas was a few years ago, where the ball's going to come out fast and he's going to do the rest on the ground, right? He's a dirty work receiver that's outstanding at dirty work. But you do have another receiver. You know what I mean? They do have a deep threat. Jameson's not a joke. Jameson's not a joke. Sorry. I got Jameis Winston on the brain still for some reason. But he's not a joke.
Scott. Yeah.
He's a deep ball receiver. He's your double move receiver. He's the man that's going to beat you deep. It's going to be a tough one for the Bucs. You have not Christian Izien. God, I can't talk. Zion McCollum is back this week, but he's got a broken hand. And Jamel Dean's coming off one of his best games in his career. They're going to have a task on their hands. You got two of the best receivers, possibly the best receiving core the Bucs are going to face other than one they do in practice. That it's going to be a high-scoring game. Right now, the Lions are favored by 5.5. How does this game lay out for you guys? Where do you see this game?
Detroit winning by 5.5.
I mean, seriously.
I think. Well, see, you have Detroit with their defensive line. They've always been able to get a decent push, and with the injuries that Tampa Bay has actually got, I think Baker might end up having a little bit of a rough day, especially if he starts scrambling around and stuff like that. You got those safeties that are just going to come up and just blast him. So hopefully he actually gets out without any major injuries. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that the Buccaneers don't have a chance. It's just that I think Detroit's actually, I think they're bringing in too much firepower, both offensive and defensive, even with the amount of injuries that they have. I think with all of their injuries kind of canceling each other out, you're absolutely right. Which one is going to actually have the testicular fortitude to be able to actually, pull out any and all victories in this particular case? I think it's going to be Detroit, just because Montgomery, Brown, you've got a couple of players that are actually going to be able to give them points.
I can see it falling that way. Mike, what are your thoughts on this Monday nighter?
I think if Aiden Hutchinson gets a lot of pressure on That Detroit defensive line gets a lot of pressure on Baker Mayfield. It's going to be a long day. And you did say Bucky Irving was out again?
Bucky is out.
Hang on. Give me a minute.
Honestly, this is the truth. Bucky's probably going to be out to well after the bye. I think that shoulder injury is a lot more serious than they're letting on. But one thing I do want to bring up, last time the Aiden Hutchinson played the Bucs, he had 4.5 sacks.
Yep.
Oh my God. Brian came just in time. Brian, how you doing?
Oh just my God. Say good night. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
We're on the subject of Bucs Lions. Aiden Hutchinson, like I said, last time he squared off against the Bucs, had 4.5 sacks. Does anyone know the outcome of that game? No? Bucs win. Bucs win that game. Can they do that again this game? I don't know. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I really do. I don't think we're going to be looking at a 21-20 score. I think we're in the 30s on both teams, possibly the 40s on one of the teams. Brian, we got these two yuckheads' opinions on this game. What are yours?
Oh, my goodness. To be perfectly honest with you, I mean, I haven't really thought about this game because I've been more worried about the crap show that's been going on at my home. Just if anything, I don't know. I mean the Lions, whenever the Lions lose, they come back and they play, pissed off football, and usually, they take it out on that opposing team. So this is the Bucs, and the Bucs have got something going it's been ridiculous. I mean, Baker playing MVP level. I mean, it seems like everything that's been thrown at him, he's been able to, succeed and stack up victories. I don't know. I mean, with the receiver situation in Tampa, I mean, do you think your receivers are full go? I mean,
I will say this. Mike Evans is more likely going to play. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Mike Evans is going to play. I fully feel that's going to happen. That's going to be the case. He's practiced all week at a limited capacity, but I think that's just because he's a veteran and he's coming off an injury. And Emeka Egbuka, this one is kind of shaky, kind of sketchy, because why do you put him in on a Saturday practice for a Monday game unless you're going to work him into the rotation? Will he play? I'm not certain on that. I think it's going to come down to how he feels coming out of the locker room. They're going to run him through a couple cuts, see how that artificial surface feels on the hamstring. If they're playing outside, I don't think he plays. If they're playing on a surface where the ground is more prone to give, I don't think he plays. But playing in a dome might be to his advantage this week, especially, and it's a game where the Bucs feel they need to win. This is the NFC Championship preview in most people's eyes. This is the game that we're going to be looking at late in the season. The winner of this game could possibly clinch home field. That's a huge advantage. So I think if Emeka is good to go, he's going to play. It's not going to be we're holding him out till after the bye. Bucky Irving's situation is they're holding him out till after the bye to make sure that shoulder is fully healthy because they have Rachaad White in his stead. Rachaad White is a good running back. He's a starter on most other teams. Bucs have proven they can make chicken salad out of chicken shit with the receiving core that they have. Sterling Shepard's not a slouch. Tez Johnson's not a slouch. Cam Johnson's not a slouch. They can get things done. I think they could hold Egbuka out if he's not good to go, but I think if he's fully feels well enough to play, he's going to play. Does that answer your question?
That does answer my question. I think Tampa has just going by their season, I feel good about Tampa going in there and stealing one. But then again, you're on the road, you're in their house. They've been rowdy, and
it's Monday night.
Yeah, Monday night on top of that. I mean, everybody's watching. I'm excited to watch that game in particular. I think you're right. I think both offenses should fare pretty well against both defenses. I just think in terms of if I'm going to lean to a side, I might say Lions just because they're at home. but I would not be the least bit surprised Baker pulls more magic out of his hat, and then Tampa's walking out of there as the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah. I'm going to put this on you guys right now. This game's going to come down to special teams. And as a Bucs fan, that scares the crap out of me. The Bucs special teams are going to be boom or bust this week. It's either going to be a big kick return for the Bucs for a touchdown, or the Bucs are going to give up a big play on special teams. They've done it 3 times already this season. It could happen this week. I didn't have a lot of confidence in this pick. When I did my pick 6, they're at the bottom again. But let's see what you guys' pick 6 are.
Wow, that was like 40 minutes.
Yeah, but I had to let it end on a pick 6 against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
What was that, last week?
So we do have our pick 6. I'm not really sure who won last week. I really don't care. It wasn't me, so let's just leave it at that.
It was probably me.
We'll say it was Andy. Let's just give it to Andy so he gets one on the year.
Did I even put one in last week?
We don't know.
Yeah.
I did?
But anyway. Scout.
I'll agree on that one, but still.
You were the winner the last time we actually pulled the scores up. So who you got?
I got New England at 6. I got Cincy at 5, which I pulled that one off. I got Philly at 4, the Chiefs at 3, Green Bay at 2, and Dallas at 1.
Right on. We're adding something new this week. Who's your wild card upset pick special of the week?
Just because I want to see Andy cry, Saints by 92.
Give me a number of confidence on that, Mike. From 6 to 1. Now, granted, let me give you this. If you put 6 on it and your number 6 team wins, it's eliminated. Right? Does that make sense to you? So you're trying to slide this in. You got to try to slide this in on a team that loses, or a team you pick to win. If you go over 21, you lose. Just like blackjack. So if you're confident in your picks, leave them and don't play your wild card. But if you want to play your wild card, what's that?
I'm not playing the wild card. I'm not playing the wild card. No.
All right, Brian, who you got?
All right, I got Chiefs at 6, Packers at 5, Lions at 4, Broncos at 3, Patriots at 2, and Seahawks at 1. And my upset special, but even though I have zero confidence in it, I got Minnesota over the Eagles.
And your point total?
0, like I said.
So you're not playing. All right. Let me give mine. I've got the Pats at 6, the Chiefs at 5, Seattle at 4. The Steelers have already lost for me at 3. Green Bay at 2, Bucks at 1. I'm going to take the Giants with my upset special of the week and give them a 3-point total. So if they win, I can knock out the Steelers. So I got the Giants as my upset special. Andy, who you got?
I actually got I'm going to go all in and say the Bears are going to be my number 6 pick.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So we also got I'm going to take Philadelphia at number 5, Buffalo at 4, Kansas at 3, Detroit at 2, and I'm going to actually go with here's where it gets interesting. I'm going to have to go with the Colts over the Chargers at 1.
Wow. What's your upset?
I'm going to have to say Atlanta Falcons over the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow, that's a really low upset. That's hedging your bet right there. What you putting on that? 6, just in case the Bears don't pull it off for you?
Probably no. Whichever team actually ends up losing, for example, let's say if the Bears end up losing, then yeah, I'll make that a 6.
All right, we'll go with that.
Did you say Buffalo?
Yes, I did.
Shut up, Brian.
Well, you just lost.
Shut up, dude.
Well,
That
I
was what I
made
was
my
waiting for.
list. I made my list earlier in the week. I just never shared it because I kind of forgot. So let's
All
actually we'll go ahead and we'll redo it. We'll redo that one.
All
How
right.
about this? We got.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
All right.
Let's go
Gentlemen,
with
do
the
we have any
we'll
closing
go with the
thoughts for
Seahawks.
today's show?
We'll go with the Seahawks.
All right. Closing thoughts for today's show.
Oh, I got plenty with you, anyway.
All right.
I hate technology.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining us this week. I want to thank all you for watching. I want to especially thank our wives and families for allowing us to come on here 1 hour a week to be complete and total idiots. Until next week, you guys have a great day.
Finally, I get some time on here. I mean, stupid computer, internet stuff.